Imagine waking up and the sun just isn't right. It's dim, bluish, like staring through smoke. There's no shadow at your feet, not at dawn, at noon. You figure it'll pass, but it doesn't. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months. The sky stays dark, the crops stop growing, and by the time it's over, millions are dead, empires have collapsed, and a plague has begun that won't burn out for 200 years. This is the year 536 AD. Historians call it the worst year to be alive, and most people have never heard of it. In early 536, a massive volcano, most likely in Iceland, erupted with enough force to shoot sulfate aerosols into the stratosphere. The veil spread across the sky and just stayed. By March, Constantinople was going dark. The historian Procopius, who was there, wrote that the sun gave off light without brightness, like an eclipse that never ended. Summer temperatures across Europe dropped by 2.5 degrees. That might not sound like much, but in a world where every harvest depends on sunlight, it's catastrophic. In China, it snowed in August. Nobody understood why the sky had gone wrong. In Scandinavia, elites buried gold in the ground, sacrifices to bring back the sun. Some historians think this is where the Norse myth of Fimbulwinter comes from, the endless winter before Ragnarok. And then the food ran out. One failed harvest. You survive on last year's stores. But the darkness stretched into a second year. Grain became almost impossible to find. No grain meant no bread, no feed for livestock, no muscle to pull the plow. Villages emptied, banditry exploded. Archaeologists find the evidence in the bones of this period. Enamel defects from malnutrition, drops in average height, spiking infant mortality. And just when things barely started to improve, another volcano erupted in 540, then a third in 547. One bad year became a century-long cold period, stretching all the way to 660 AD. In 541, 5 years after the sky first darkened, Bubonic plague arrived in Egypt. Yersinia pestis, the same bacterium that would later cause the Black Death, carried by fleas on rats that thrived around grain stores. The famine had weakened millions of immune systems and funneled all those people toward the same food sources, the same ports, the same ships. The plague didn't need to find its victims. The famine had already lined them up. At the height of the outbreak, 5,000 to 10,000 people were dying every day in Constantinople alone. Emperor Justinian caught it and survived. His empire didn't. The armies couldn't be replaced. The dream of a restored Rome died in the streets, surrounded by bodies no one had the strength to bury. What followed was something close to a reset. Trade networks vanished, literacy declined, cities shrank into villages. Europe entered its so-called Dark Ages. But they did live through it. Around 640 AD, ice cores from a Swiss glacier show a spike in airborne lead, the signature of silver mining. Someone, somewhere, had started building again. The world that eventually became medieval Europe was born from the ashes of 536. 536 wasn't caused by a war or a bad king. It was a volcano no one saw coming, and enough people survived to rebuild the world from scratch. That might be the most remarkable part of all. Thank you for watching.